G'day everybody. I'm thrilled to be here today chatting with a true folk legend, Mr. Warren Fay. I just wanted to start by saying I'm coming to you from Ngunnawal country, and I would like to pay my deep respects to the Ngunnawal elders, past, present and emerging. Whereabouts are you today, Warren?
I'm slap bang in the middle of Gadigal country.
Beautiful, lovely.
The Eora Nation.
Awesome. Wow, you have a real library. I've always wanted a real library with a ladder.
Yes, the library goes around and round and round and round and round. It's very beautiful.
That is very beautiful.
And it's all numbered. This is just my folklore books.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that brings us to why we're chatting, really, is that you are one of the very few people that I'm aware of that was at the very first iteration of the National Folk Festival in Melbourne in 1967. Can you give us a little snapshot of what that felt like and what it was and what that means to you? I know that's a big question, but...
I remember it well. I was 21 at the time, and I'd been going to folk clubs before that. And before that, I was a very keen bushwalker and youth hosteler, so I was used to the music. And I was already friends with Norman Pat O'Connor, Wendy Lowenstein, and so forth. The nucleus of the people who were involved in putting on the festival. I only went for one day, and it was a teachers' college, and I was only speaking the other day to Phil Lobel, who was Phil Winickham, who was on that original committee along with a whole bunch of people. Some of them are still alive, like Martin Whittam-Reid. But, you know, so much has changed in the last 53 years. But there was a certain excitement, and essentially the festival was really the folk revival, if I can call it that, getting on its feet again after the late 1950s, early 60s, where there'd been that folk boom, where you heard folk music on radio and television and everywhere. It was over-commercialized, the music got blanded out. And so the ones that were interested in the tradition got together, mainly in the upstairs rooms of hotels, and the music came alive again. That led to that festival being staged, and then another one in Melbourne, and then I was involved in the first one in Sydney in 1970, and again in 1976. Where I was doing what you do, basically. So we've come a long way.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a testament to the power of community and the need for preservation of folk culture and celebration of folk culture that this amazing, big, beautiful beast has survived for 55 years with no core funding, no core government partner, like, you know, every other major festival that's lasted that long, which is not very...
It had a few growing pains. I mean, it in the early days, it moved from city to city, of course, as you know. It was in the capital cities, went over to Adelaide, Perth, and even went to Alice Springs. It was starting to get too big for its boots, and it needed a permanent home. And that's why 30 years ago, it settled in Canberra. And I mean, I think it's been a really good thing that it's in the national capital. I refer to Canberra as a good sheep station, ruined, but at least the festival side of it's a good thing, because it's fairly central. You know, there's been a lot of discussion. There's been a lot of discussion about this particular festival, but for me, and I'm a great believer that music and festivals need to grow organically, and you know, programming is here to be trialed. Festivals have to be adventurous, and the proof will be in the pudding. I mean, I'm hoping that along with, some of the bigger names that you've programmed, that, there will be a sub-festival allowing that interchange of music and actual performers performing with new people and so forth. And so, I mean, that's all.
I'm
fabulous.
Yeah, no, I'm confident that will, well, I'm quietly confident that will happen, because the artists that we have that are the bigger names are very, very much about community. So they're all looking forward. Everyone that I've been chatting to has just been like, oh, I've been missing my tribe. I've been missing my family, my folk family, my festival family. And that's everyone from, punters through to people, high profile names. And,
Robin Archer is a good example, because Robin, she sang, in her own definition, a style of folk music when she started, and in Adelaide, and she became quite an important figure in Australian music history in doing even things like songs from Bertolt Brecht through to cabaret, and for many reasons, her returning to the festival is a positive sign, not a negative sign. Just because somebody is known internationally or nationally doesn't mean that they have lost touch with music. It's just that they've moved into a different sphere. So it's a bit of a learning curve for them as well, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I had a big chat with Robin about her show, and I'm so excited to see it. It's basically, she's going to present vignettes of her, significant career going back to, as you say, her beginnings in the folk.
It'll be fabulous. Yeah. I mean, I've worked with Robin for, 30 odd years in putting her recordings out, still doing it. Awesome. So for me, it's very exciting to see people like her, and Judy Small returning to the stage after being in the dock for so many, or the court for so many years. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and to be honest, Warren, so I had heard of Judy Small, but I really hadn't studied her body of work properly. And when I did, I was like, how do I not know about this woman? Her songs and stories are so fabulous and so integral to sort of, folk storytelling of Australia, particularly from a point of view as a woman, as a queer woman, coming through all the changes that have happened in the last 50 years in Australia.
And she has a particular folk, if I can use that, presence on stage, and she's a really good storyteller in song. I mean, for my part, in producing the 30th anniversary show, Tracks That We've Travelled, all I'm trying to do is tell the story of 53 years of the folk festival, missing a few years, but it's been 53 years since 1967 and 30 years in Canberra, and telling the story through relevant songs that I've selected. And most importantly, and I know you'll get this, is that I've asked people to perform songs that don't necessarily be associated with those songs, especially the traditional songs. So I've taken some songs like Put a Light in Every Country Window that 40 years ago, every folk person knew that song. They don't anymore. It's about the Snowy Mountain scheme. Now, it's got no relevance except that we've updated a bit, but I wanted to get a younger group to interpret it. So I charged a lot of the people on the program to be creative, to interpret these songs how you feel is good. And so I'm very excited.
Me too. And I've sort of done a similar thing with Songs of Judy, which we're having on the Monday afternoon, which is basically, I think there are about 10 of us, 10 women, ranging from, probably early 20s to, elders of the folk world, putting our own spin on Judy's inimitable, style. And I think that's going to be...
And she's singing her most famous song on the Tracks We Have Travelled concert.
Yay! So Tracks We Have Travelled is in the Butterwang, which is sort of our, we've got a new stage this year, which is the Naraganawali stage, which is a Ngunnawal word meaning coming together and peace and feeling good, which I was like, that's a good word, please. We'll with your blessing, we'll use that. And then, but yeah, I'm really excited. There are some concerts. I mean, the great thing about a festival is, like, for you could basically go, okay, who can I have? I've got over 200 acts to choose from to personally curate my, this show. And that's such a unique thing that can only happen at a national. So.
Yeah. And I can tell you that, in talking to artists, some of them I have never heard of, but I've done my research and selecting people like King Curly,
yeah,
or Bill Chambers, or some of the people who have never been asked to do this sort of material,
yeah,
alongside people like the Fagans, who are well known, is the excitement that a festival should create. And the ending, I can tell you, is going to be a salute to the best of all that cultural streams into Australia, with, Greg Sheehan and Lindsay Pollock leading the way to this massive Balansky bus, and it's going to end on a very big high. It'll be great.
I mean, Greg and Lindsay, I spoke to them yesterday. I consider them my uncles of my sort of festival. Absolutely. I've seen those gentlemen. They've inspired me so much for over 20 years, and are such caring and open and welcoming musicians, which I think is the very essence of what music should be about. It's a safe space. Absolutely. Everyone is welcome. And yeah, well, we can't wait to have tracks that we've travelled. By the way,
I think it's going to be great fun. And I'm also doing a 1.5 hour concert of Australian bush songs and stories, which is important because we've got to keep that tradition going. Yeah. And I'm excited because my 24-year-old godson, who is now out concertina in me, is going to join me on stage, which I think is once again the tradition being passed on.
Yeah, well, as you know, the whole theme of the festival is find your home, find your family, find your folk. And we have...
Find your car keys.
Pardon me?
Find your car keys.
Find your car keys, yeah.
And your sunglasses, that's what I believe.
Find your camping spot at 3 a.m. after the session bar. But we do have many... What I like is that there are multiple generations. So, I mean, the Fagans are an amazing example of that, just in one band.
Exactly.
But, across the festival, we're going to have lots of sharing from elders to younger, and then, the other way around as well, which is going to be super special. So we can't wait to see you on Whole Country.
Okay, Katie, terrific.
Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you very soon. It's a number of sleeps away, so it's very exciting.
Fabulous. Okay.
Thanks, Warren. Take care. See you. Bye.